most egregious cover-up in American history. And today was a critical part of our investigation to try to end this cover-up once and for all. We have met with the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and the rich and powerful people that helped to perpetuate these crimes. And we have heard over and over from these victims the name of Les Wexner and the importance of following them up. Because the story of Jeffrey Epstein is one that can almost, it almost is the plot of a movie that is turned into a nightmare. And the real reason Jeffrey Epstein was able to get away with raping and abusing children, young women, boys, young men for so many years was because of the vast amounts of money that he was able to acquire, and that largely came from Les Wexner here in Ohio. So we're here to ask Les Wexner the critical questions, and it's been very interesting to see the types of responses that he's giving and his demeanor throughout the interview. He claims to want to provide information and to be helpful in the investigation, but then quickly follows up by saying that he does not recall details around a relationship with somebody that he had for decades. Les Wexner handed his power of attorney to Jeffrey Epstein. He allowed Jeffrey Epstein to live in his home, to have hundreds of millions of his dollars, to use his yachts and his planes. This was obviously a very, very close relationship, and so far what we have seen is a denial of that relationship. Another important theme that has come up today is that Les Wexner is actually tied to other sex trafficking and child abuse scandals here in Ohio, around the country. There are reports of payments that were made to a gynecologist at Ohio State University, and that money went through Jeffrey Epstein but came from Les Wexner. And he has been asked about this with no real response, no recollection. And again, as my colleagues have said, I don't think it is feasible or understandable or conceivable that any individual would not have an understanding of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars of their own money and can't answer to those questions. So it is clear that this cover-up is vast. It goes as high as the White House and the Department of Justice that still has not released the majority of the Epstein files, still has illegally redacted information, still has not begun any indictments or prosecutions for the very credible allegations that are in the files that we already have seen, all the way to people at universities, companies, and vast networks of elite individuals across this country. And what I can tell you very clearly is that oversight Democrats on this committee will not back down until we get every detail, until every person who enabled and perpetrated these crimes is held accountable. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Dave Mann, freshman member of Congress out of Orange County, California, and before getting into office, I was a law professor. I'm a graduate of Harvard Law School, and earlier in my career, I was an SEC enforcement attorney, so I've done quite a few of these types of depositions and witness interviews. And while I don't want to comment on an ongoing deposition, we're going to go back in there and ask more questions. I can basically say that he has basically alleged that he saw no evil, heard no evil, despite being in the room with Jeffrey Epstein over and over and over. And it's really just not credible. I realize he's an elderly gentleman, memories fade, but the reputation of Jeffrey Epstein is very clear. Everyone around Jeffrey Epstein knew exactly what he's up to. And to spend that much time, to give that much trust to Jeffrey Epstein, and then to say, I don't remember seeing any young girls, I didn't hear anything about Jeffrey Epstein, it really is just not plausible. And so we're going to keep digging, but I want to just echo the comments earlier. This is a bit frustrating because we're not getting real answers to the questions that the American people deserve answers to. I also just want to give kudos to my colleagues behind me right here. Robert Garcia and the Democrats on the Oversight Committee have led the effort to try to expose this cover-up. What we've seen is foot dragging. We've seen, if you remember back to Pam Bondi saying that this was all a hoax and a cover-up, that there were no Epstein files. Due to the efforts of Ranking Member Garcia, we have been able to pierce that myth. We're getting more answers, but we've got a lot of work to do. And we'll just add, it is very frustrating the fact that there are no Republicans here today. I wish there were Republicans because sex trafficking should not be a D versus R issue. It should be a bipartisan issue. Everybody should be invested in finding the truth right now. And the fact that we've had so little cooperation from the Republicans on the House Oversight Committee, that the DOJ has actively tried to obstruct this investigation, that is shameful, and it will go down as a permanent mark on the records of people like Pam Bondi and Donald Trump. Now, I'll just close with this. When I got off the plane, I saw Wexner's name all over the place. His name is on buildings, it's on medical centers, and you immediately realize when you come to Columbus what a powerful individual this is. But I just want to say that no matter how rich or powerful you are, America stands for the principle that there's one rule of law that applies to anybody and everybody equally. And so whether Wexner is rich and powerful, whether Jeffrey Epstein or Donald Trump or Howard Lutnick are rich and powerful, should not matter. We're going to get the answers. People will be brought to justice. We will not rest until that happens. Thanks.
And before I answer a couple questions, let me add two things that are really important. One is, it's been clear to us, at least the way Mr. Wexner has presented this, that he, according to him, has not been was questioned by the FBI or the DOJ about Mr. Epstein. How outrageous is that? He's someone that's been named by survivors, someone that's in the files more than most people, someone that's clearly the financial benefactor to Jeffrey Epstein and has not been contacted or interviewed by the FBI or the DOJ. What the hell is going on? That is shameful. We should be ashamed as a government. The survivors deserve justice. So that's something that we are going to continue to press today, and certainly press with Pam Bondi and the DOJ. And the second thing, something that I think is critical to all of us, I think this community should also be asking questions. This community deserves to know why the most powerful man, one of the richest men, if not the richest man in Ohio, gave so much of his wealth to the largest modern sex trafficking ring in American history. Why his money was used to traffic, abuse, and rape women and children. And so I think this community has questions of Mr. Wexner. Ohio State should have questions of Mr. Wexner. And Mr. Wexner's involvement in our questions, today's not the end of our questions for Mr. Wexner, it's the beginning of our questions for Mr. Wexner and anyone in this community across Ohio or the country that has done business dealings or that knows why he provided so much money for Jeffrey Epstein to then go on and commit all these horrible crimes. We can answer a couple questions.
How often is he?
A couple questions. First off, you mentioned in Les Wexner's opening statement, he said that he did not have any knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's crime. Do you believe he's lying, given what you know about the way he was over that first? Second, you have David, the former, said that Jeffrey Epstein and going back had sexually abused her at Wexner State, and that the Wexner security guards wouldn't let her leave. You guys touch on that incident at all during the deposition of the third. What could you have to do with that?
Let me start by saying that I do not believe when Mr. Wexner says that he did not have a personal relationship or a friendly relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. I think that is bogus, personally. I can also say that we believe the survivors. And I think the farmer testimony is critical. And what happened to not just Maria, but to Annie and the farmer women was horrific. And this idea that she gave such a description of what happened to her, and somehow we should just dismiss that as a lie or untrue, I think is outrageous. There's no question in my mind that there was a relationship and that Mr. Wexner is very aware, likely aware of what was going on.
Representative Garcia.
There have been questions that have been asked about the farmer incident, and that will continue in the afternoon. Yes.
Tom Bosco with the ABC affiliate here in Columbus. Can you give us a little more of the flavor of the questioning? Is he combative with the questions? Is there a lot of conferring with attorneys before he answers? And you said he has not pleaded the Fifth, or taken his Fifth Amendment?
He's not pleaded the Fifth. I think that he's answering some questions. He's saying that he doesn't remember in other questions.
See no evil, hear no evil.
Exactly. He's claiming that there basically was no friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, or no real strong relationship, which we know by reporting that's just not true.
As it
It's
relates
pretty
to,
ridiculous.
as it relates to the lawyers specifically, there's a lot of objections.
A lot of objections. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes,
Les Wexner, he admitted to visiting Epstein Island. What do you know, and what has he shared about his activities while on the island, and any involvement with survivors there or here at his mansion also?
Yeah, I asked that question today. He claimed that he was on the island for 1 hour and that he walked around with his family, and I asked him if any other individuals were there, and he said no. And that was a kind of a repetitive, that I was there for 1 hour, and I go to many places for just 1 hour.
And did he speak about any involvement with survivors, even here at his mansion in New Albany?
He denied everything.
Not everything. And quite frankly, it would have been nice to see more remorse. Yes.
Mr. Wexner is 88 years old. He's also been missing Wexner Medical Center board meetings where he's scared. Can you describe his demeanor, how he is? He's an elderly gentleman, of course, but...
Well, I think he's lucid. I think he's certainly capable of answering these questions. There's no deterioration in his mental faculties, so he's a competent witness. He's just not telling the truth.
Hey, could you all talk about why here in Ohio versus here in DC?
Deposition locations are decided by the majority party, and that was decided to have it here.
Will this deposition even matter if Pam Bondi and the DOJ are not taking this as a main focus?
Look, I think that we have, my first answer is yes. This deposition absolutely does matter, and it's important to get. Remember, Mr. Wexner is under oath to tell the truth. So every single answer that he gives is a broader part of our investigation. This is just the beginning of our work in trying to get the truth on Mr. Wexner, and so that it absolutely matters. Any final questions?
What happens when the DOJ doesn't do anything with it?
Well, that's up to the President Trump, which we're putting the pressure on. Yes.
Representative, you mentioned there's a credibility issue. How is that going to impact your investigation?
You want to answer that? Credibility issue. Look, I think at the end of the day, we need to ask the questions and get Mr. Wexner on the record. That's the most important part right now. Is we have questions that are going to continue throughout the afternoon and get him on the record. We have time for a couple more questions. We got to wrap up.
If you feel you're not getting the answers you need today, what should we expect next?
I think what's next is we may have additional questions. We have more people to speak to, folks that are involved with Mr. Wexner and that have done business with him, including the doctor that we just discussed earlier that got transferred a significant amount of money. They can expect questions from us.
Will you ask for the finance records that was mentioned?
Absolutely, we're asking.
Representative Garcia, when you said there are no Republicans here, you didn't just mean at this press conference. There are no Republican
there are no
Congress
Republican members of Congress
at this deposition.
No.
Right. There are Republican staff members. No Republican members of Congress chose to come. We'll take one final question.
Wexner was named as a possible conspirator in a lot of the documents. Anything you've seen today makes you think he might not be or could be?
There's nothing I've heard that no. I think that is a very open question, and I think that's a part of the investigation is going to continue. Thanks, everybody.
You guys will update us again once you've done the deposition.
This is got for now. I gotta go back.
Will it be done today? You'll be done with...
Deposition will be done today.
Thank you so much. Sorry. George, yeah. George, good question. Yeah, I was thinking that same question myself. I was exactly going to ask that at some point.
I wanted to come in and out. And you asked about the fifth, right?
Yeah, me too.
That was the first time. Giant man. AP asked about